Chapter 29 of Anna Karenina, Book 5, by Leo Tolstoy, translated by Constance Garnett. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. One of Anna's objects in coming back to Russia had been to see her son. From the day she left Italy, the thought of it had never ceased to agitate her. And as she got nearer to Petersburg, the delight and importance of this meeting grew ever greater in her imagination. She did not even put to herself the question how to arrange it. It seemed to her natural and simple to see her son when she should be in the same town with him. But on her arrival in Petersburg, she was suddenly made distinctly aware of her present position in society, and she grasped the fact that to arrange this meeting was no easy matter. She had now been 2 days in Petersburg. The thought of her son never left her for a single instant, but she had not yet seen him. To go straight to the house, where she might meet Alexey Alexandrovitch, that she felt she had no right to do. She might be refused admittance and insulted. To write and so enter into relations with her husband, that it made her miserable to think of doing. She could only be at peace when she did not think of her husband. To get a glimpse of her son out walking, finding out where and when he went out, was not enough for her. She had so looked forward to this meeting, she had so much she must say to him, she so longed to embrace him, to kiss him. Seryozha's old nurse might be a help to her and show her what to do. But the nurse was not now living in Alexey Alexandrovitch's house. In this uncertainty and in efforts to find the nurse, 2 days had slipped by. Hearing of the close intimacy between Alexey Alexandrovitch and Countess Lidia Ivanovna, Anna decided on the 3rd day to write to her a letter, which cost her great pains, and in which she intentionally said that permission to see her son must depend on her husband's generosity. She knew that if the letter was shown to her husband, he would keep up his character of magnanimity and would not refuse her request. The commissionaire who took the letter had brought her back the most cruel and unexpected answer, that there was no answer. She had never felt so humiliated as at that moment, when, sending for the commissionaire, she heard from him the exact account of how he had waited, and how afterwards he had been told there was no answer. Anna felt humiliated, insulted, but she saw that from her point of view Countess Lidia Ivanovna was right. Her suffering was the more poignant that she had to bear it in solitude. She could not and would not share it with Vronsky. She knew that to him, although he was the primary cause of her distress, the question of her seeing her son would seem a matter of very little consequence. She knew that he would never be capable of understanding all the depth of her suffering, that for his cool tone at any allusion to it she would begin to hate him. And she dreaded that more than anything in the world, and so she hid from him everything that related to her son. Spending the whole day at home, she considered ways of seeing her son, and had reached a decision to write to her husband. She was just composing this letter when she was handed the letter from Lidia Ivanovna. The countess's silence had subdued and depressed her, but the letter, all that she read between the lines in it, so exasperated her. This malice was so revolting beside her passionate, legitimate tenderness for her son, that she turned against other people and left off blaming herself. This coldness, this pretense of feeling, she said to herself. They must needs insult me and torture the child. and I am to submit to it? Not on any consideration. She is worse than I am. I don't lie anyway." And she decided on the spot that next day, Seryozha's birthday, she would go straight to her husband's house, bribe or deceive the servants, but at any cost see her son and overturn the hideous deception with which they were encompassing the unhappy child. She went to a toy shop, bought toys, and thought over a plan of action. She would go early in the morning, at 8 o'clock, when Alexey Alexandrovitch would be certain not to be up. She would have money in her hand to give the hall porter and the footman, so that they should let her in, and not raising her veil, she would say that she had come from Seryozha's godfather to congratulate him, and that she had been charged to leave the toys at his bedside. She had prepared everything but the words she should say to her son. Often as she had dreamed of it, she could never think of anything. The next day, at 8 o'clock in the morning, Anna got out of a hired sledge and rang at the front entrance of her former home. "Run and see what's wanted. Some lady," said Kapitonitch, who, not yet dressed, in his overcoat and galoshes, had peeped out of the window and seen a lady in a veil standing close up to the door. His assistant, a lad Anna did not know, had no sooner opened the door to her than she came in, and pulling a 3-rouble note out of her muff, put it hurriedly into his hand. "Seryozha, Sergey Alexeyitch," she said, and was going on. Scrutinizing the note, the porter's assistant stopped her at the second glass door. "Whom do you want?" he asked. She did not hear his words and made no answer. Noticing the embarrassment of the unknown lady, Kapitonitch went out to her, opened the second door for her, and asked her what she was pleased to want. "From Prince Skorodumov, for Sergey Alexeyitch," she said. "His honor's not up yet," said the porter, looking at her attentively. Anna had not anticipated that the absolutely unchanged hall of the house where she had lived for 9 years would so greatly affect her. Memories, sweet and painful, rose one after another in her heart, and for a moment she forgot what she was here for. "Would you kindly wait?" said Kapitonitch, taking off her fur cloak. As he took off the cloak, Kapitonitch glanced at her face, recognized her, and made her a low bow in silence. "Please walk in, your excellency," he said to her. She tried to say something, but her voice refused to utter any sound. With a guilty and imploring glance at the old man, she went with light, swift steps up the stairs. Bent double and his galoshes catching in the steps, Kapitonitch ran after her, trying to overtake her. "The tutor's there. Maybe he's not dressed. I'll let him know." Anna still mounted the familiar staircase, not understanding what the old man was saying. "This way, to the left, if you please. Excuse its not being tidy. His honor's in the old parlor now," the hall porter said, panting. "Excuse me. Wait a little, your excellency. I'll just see," he said, and overtaking her, he opened the high door and disappeared behind it. Anna stood still, waiting. "He's only just awake," said the hall porter, coming out. And at the very instant the porter said this, Anna caught the sound of a childish yawn. From the sound of this yawn alone she knew her son, and seemed to see him living before her eyes. "Let me go in. Go away," she said, and went in through the high doorway. On the right of the door stood a bed, and sitting up in the bed was the boy. His little body bent forward, with his nightshirt unbuttoned, he was stretching and still yawning. The instant his lips came together, they curved into a blissfully sleepy smile, and with that smile